Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back. This time taking our very first look at the new, I say new, it's been out for a while and I've actually had the ship for a while, but I just finally got a commander that makes this ship usable. We are looking at the new legendary tier British destroyer, the Daring. Our commander is none other than Grotmaz Smart. It is the new well, I say new, it's been around for a while, but I never had it. It was a Warhammer commander. If you don't have this, then the Daring is not going to be a lot of fun for you. This commander makes the Daring absolutely busted, okay? Without this commander, the Daring is pretty meh. Maybe even on the, lower side of meh, okay? To be honest, I loved the Lightning back in the day, right? Lightning used to be amazing. But then it got power crept by all the goddamn radars and extended sonars and all of that. Like, you just can't utilize the Lightning the way you used to be able to as aggressively. This thing, with this build, is disgusting. And it's not about the torpedoes. You're going to see in this match, I don't get much work out of the torpedoes. This thing is an HE god, okay? So let's take a look at my build. I am running Grotmaz Smart with Eric Bay and Jersey Swirsky for the extra detectability, okay? We want to be as sneaky as possible, right? We're running Quick Fix, we're running Look at Me Now, we're running Perceptive. You could go Stand or Fall if you want, but I think that this thing reloads fast enough as is. You don't really need this. So having Perceptive and the ability to know where the closest enemy is helps with hunting destroyers and all that. And then, of course, we've got the special skill for Grotmaz, which is one of the reasons this thing is so busted, which gives you an extra 1% chance to set fires, and an extra 7.5% HE shell damage. Doesn't seem like that much right off the bat, right? But then you have the legendary skill, Rather Be Torching, which gives you another 2.5%, and can get up to 3% if you max this commander out, which we don't currently have it maxed out. This can get up to 2% extra fire chance as well. With all of that, why is that so important? Well, let's just talk about it. So it's so important. By the way, we are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, Concealment System Mod, and we are running Torpedo Launchers Mod 3. This is the Epic modification, by the way. Sorry, voice correct. This is the Epic modification, which allows your torpedoes to reload much quicker the more damage you do. And fortunately, it just got a buff. This and the Artillery Plotting Room got a buff recently. All of the rest of the Epic mods got nerfed with this change, but this one and the Artillery Plotting Room got a huge buff because now you just proc it with damage. You don't even have to land torpedoes anymore. So if you get 50 or 150,000 damage, which is not that difficult in this thing with a fire build like we've got, you can absolutely annihilate in this ship. And in late game, this thing starts to reload torpedoes pretty quickly. So with all of that being said, let's take a look. We are running the Italian Unity flag because if you squint just right, it kind of looks like a Spartan helmet. We're running the Ultimate Guardian camo, which I believe was the Kong camo. But this, I just like the look of it. Kind of reminds me of HE, so I use it on my Conqueror as well. We have 6 smokes. These are very short duration smokes. They are British smokes. They're get out of jail free cards, but they're actually very nasty for this ship as well. Because unlike the Lightning, this thing is just, it's absolutely devastating. Now, I have not tried the Lightning with the new commander yet. Now that I have the Orc commander, I may go back and revisit the Lightning and see if the power creep has been reversed with this commander. But sonar, you've got a pretty poor sonar. It is very long duration though, which means this thing is very handy for detecting torpedoes for your allies. So when you get into a cap and you're running a sonar, this thing lasts seemingly forever, 180 seconds duration. So it's 3 minutes long, each one of these sonars, and it's a 2-minute reload time, okay? So keep that in mind. And Repair Party, you get 2 of these for memes. They come in handy a little bit, but for the most part, you're not going to use... They're not going to help you that much. They may keep you alive for a little bit longer, and we all know destroyers at the end of the game, if you're alive, you control the outcome of the game. Survivability, 20,800 hit points. The main guns, you get 113 millimeter 45 caliber RP-41 Mark 6s. You get 6 of them, reaching out to 11.1 kilometers, reloading in just 2.8 seconds. That's why I decided to go with the Perceptive rather than the, whatever you call it, the one that decreases the reload of your guns as you lose health. Because Perceptive is just more useful. You don't really need to reduce this reload any further, right? It's already stupid. HE shell maximum damage with this build, 1708 with an 11.5% fire chance. You heard that right. 11.5% chance to set fires with a 2.8 second reload on a 6-gun destroyer. And then you got AP thrown in there for good measure with 2100 damage, just in case. And you can't sleep on this AP either. If you give me a broadside at close enough range, don't be surprised if I've got you burning. Just switch to AP and start to whittle you away as well. So, torpedoes. You get 533 millimeter PR Mark IIs. You get 10 of them. They reload in 106 seconds with this build. Then maximum damage is 16,767. So not the hardest hitting torpedoes in the world, but they're decent. I'd say average detectability for the torps, 10 kilometer maximum range with a 62 knot speed. They're pretty average across the board. Average damage, average speed, average range. Nothing crazy, right? AA defense, you get 40 millimeter Bofors Mark 5s. You get 2 of those doing 12 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. Then you have the 40 millimeter Stags. You get 4 of those doing 51 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. Then you have the 113 millimeter 45 caliber RP-41 Mark 6 dual-purpose main guns that reach out to 5 kilometers and do 53 damage per second. So not terrible AA for a destroyer, but don't rely on it. Maneuverability. You have 35 knot top speed, so a little bit on the slow side for a destroyer. The turning circle is pretty solid at 630 meters, and the rudder shift is 3.7 seconds with this build. Concealment. Detectability by sea is 5.2 kilometers. Detectability by air is 3.1. Guaranteed detectability is always 2, and a detectability while firing in smoke of 2.4 kilometers. Alright, now for my stats. My stats are not going to be amazing in this ship. I have struggled up to this point. I've only played a couple of games with the Orc Commander, and so far I'm loving it. Now that I have the Orc Commander, it's a completely different ship. But as you can see, 64% win rate with 11 battles played. Okay, so not bad, considering. But you guys know my playstyle when it comes to destroyers. I play to win, right? So average damage, not the highest, 61,000 with a average XP of 1,900, which is above average for me, so not bad. Warships spotted, 2.8, which you'd expect to be a little bit higher than most of my ships. Damage upon your spotting, 42,000, meaning I don't get a whole lot of average damage from teammates shooting things. Potential damage, though, 531,000, so low for me, but not bad for a destroyer. Armor. You're a destroyer. You don't have any armor. You're coated in 19 millimeters. This is not a Kaba. You don't have any special gimmick armor. You have 19 millimeters of armor, so you're going to get absolutely punished anytime you get spotted. So make sure that you're dodging whenever possible, if you're going to get spotted. And as you can see, massive center, of the ship where everything that's special is, which is why you'll lose your engine if you're not careful. And that's really bad if you're running the Rather Be Torching skill, which you should be running. Because if you lose your engine, you can't go anywhere. Now, overview. Heal consumable. Destroyer is equipped with a repair party. Sequential torpedoes. You can launch your torps tube by tube. And inferior AP penetration. A below average AP shell penetration, but it's a destroyer with small guns, so you can expect that you're not going to be pinning the belt armor of a battleship. However, you can pin the upper side plating of most battleships, and you can definitely pin cruisers, and you can definitely pin destroyers, potentially. So you got to be careful with the destroyers. You may actually get to use the AP against the destroyer in the right situation, and come out on top. I still think that the HE is usually the way to go, at least in my experience, but you never know. Daring class ships were the last and largest British destroyers carrying torpedo tubes and artillery guns. Their main battery consisted of 114mm guns mounted in enhanced dual-purpose turrets. She entered service 1952. There were 12 of them in the series. Other than that, I mean, she's a good-looking ship. She sits a little high out of the water, but other than that, I mean, she is a solid-looking ship. And with those 3 dual turrets, you gotta love it, right? Plus, you get those center-mounted quad launchers that you love too. I mean, quintuple launchers, sorry. Not quads. There are 5 of them there. But other than that, there's not much to say about the looks of the ship. It's a destroyer, and it's a fun ship to play as long as you have the fire chance. So with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on shards, and we're going to be spawning in the B spawn. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this match is literally going to go down to the final seconds to decide who wins and who loses. Now that being said, we are going to absolutely do everything in our power to control this fight. We're going to go straight into the Bravo cap. You can see that we do have somebody directly ahead of us, obviously. There's always somebody that spawns B spawn, right? But as we get closer, you'll notice on the perceptive that it's going to the right. Meaning that whoever spawned across from us, most likely the destroyer, or one of their destroyers, who isn't running perceptive, which means it's probably the Club Air, is going to be heading over towards the right side. Does that mean he's not going to go to the middle? No. It's not uncommon for whoever spawns in the destroyer across from us to go to the gap to my right, the one that I'm looking at right now. And that's what I thought was going to happen here. So I'm a little bit timid because I'm at this point assuming that it is, in fact, the Club Air. And I know that the Club Air and the Schlieffen, one of the Schlieffens that's in a division, is Doc Sinister and Heavy Lag. Very good players. I know them personally, so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I know what I'm up against. I got to play the best game that I can to try to carry this team to a victory. So right off the bat, we go into the B cap, doing our job, which is something that I always preach to you guys when it comes to destroyers. Please, as a destroyer, do your job. Now that being said, the enemy Club Air is actually going to make a huge misplay at the beginning of this game and could, in fact, cost his team the win. Because he's actually going to get himself into trouble and he's going to get himself killed right at the beginning of the match. Fortunately for me, you can see that they're kind of passing us right now through this gap, which we kind of expected. And rather than sit here and wait for him to spot us, because I was still at this point assuming that he was going to come after me, but he doesn't. He actually goes away from us and goes towards the Alpha Cap. Somebody manages to get into the Alpha Cap and stop our destroyer from capping just in the nick of time. Like, legitimately couldn't have been any closer if he wanted it to. Now, with that, we almost have the Bravo Cap secured, which is one of the most important caps on the entire game to grab. If you can grab this cap early, it allows your team to have a huge advantage. Now notice I'm not just going to sit here and wait around for things to develop. We're trying to throw torps out there on this Frederick de Grosse, which turns out to be a terrible choice because as soon as I drop torps on this Frederick de Grosse, everybody on my team shoots his broadside, which forces him to turn away. And as soon as he turns away, he dodges our torpedoes easily. Should have waited a little bit longer. I'd have been able to launch around this island and I would have had a much better opportunity to torp him. But at the moment, you try to rush things occasionally, thinking you could catch the guy, thinking he's going to go try to get behind the island. Should have anticipated the teammates shooting him in this situation, but it doesn't matter. We've got a solo cap. We're moving towards the Charlie cap to give our team the advantage there. Notice I'm not going over to the other side. Now, you'll see that the enemy Club Air is spotted in front of 2 battleships and a destroyer. And between the 3 of them, they're going to be able to finish him off very quickly. Which is huge for our team. You can see I was checking my torpedoes. It looked like we were very close, and we were. A couple of those torpedoes just sneaking off the rear of his ship. It gets very fortunate to turn away from that. But it doesn't matter. We're in the cap. We're going to be able to secure a second cap. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. The points are going to literally be what decide this match. It's going to come down to the very last few seconds to decide who wins and who loses this match. You guys have got to watch this one all the way through. It's crazy. But what I'm about to showcase is why the daring is so god-darn broken with this orc build. And by the way, the orc is currently in the store that you can pick it up right now. Now here you can see, first shot out. Remember, 11.5% chance to set fires. So, and we fire every like 2.8 seconds. So there, we already have a fire. You can see he is running Fight Fire with Fire, I believe, or whatever perk it is that gives him the ability to only have 3 fires. I don't think it's Fight Fire with Fire. I think it's one of the normal perks up at Damage Control or something like that, maybe, or I don't know. It's one of those perks up in the actual like tech tree. It's for the Celiax build. So you can see I'm going to get out of his way. He's taking a shot at me. This is the worst thing you can do as a battleship. If you see a smoke screen and you don't know that you're going to hit and you fire your guns, all you're doing is prolonging the ability for the destroyer to sit in a smoke screen and burn you down. Now, I am very worried about the Rune coming back to hunt us. Remember, Rune and all the German cruisers, they have those long-range sonars. You've got to be aware of where they are at all times. But here, you can see I'm going to try to set up a sneaky attack with torpedoes on this repub. And then we are going to try to get into a position to start to burn down this Schlieffen. Remember, Schlieffen and the rest of the battle cruisers for the Germans have limited numbers of damage controls. Now, unfortunately, they just added a way for all of the German battle cruisers to get extra damage controls with the Celiax build, which I don't think most people run. I think most people are running Hide anyway. But if you are one of those people, you can see we've already procced our first proc of our torpedo reload getting faster. But here you can see he does damage con it, which again is a huge misplay when you have a limited number. You have to make sure you're going to be safe from being set back on fire. And you can see we do manage to get another fire on him before he gets, and there's the double fire before he gets behind the island. So now we've got him in a double fire. It's still not going to be as bad as if he had like a longer cooldown on his ship, but this repub is going to be another example of why you can't just expect to get away with this stuff. Now the Schlieffen's behind the island. You can see I don't really want to fire my guns just yet. We got 10 seconds until the smoke comes back, and we're going to be able to once again shoot at this repub and start to burn him down. Now it's at this point he just fired his gun, so we're going to go ahead and smoke up and start firing on him to get these fires rolling on him. Now remember, this is like worst case scenario for anybody on my team, or on the enemy team. We got a lot of firepower here, but they're all in positions where they've got to try to attack other people, which gives me the perfect opportunity to just unleash all holy hellfire on these guys. And this guy makes a critical error of damage conning a single fire. I'm sorry. And I know I do this occasionally too. It bites me in the butt almost every single time, which is why I try to beat it through your guys' heads. Do not damage con single fires unless you are 100% certain you are not going to immediately be set back on fire. And right there we get him on a single perma-fire, and he's right out in the open. He just fired his guns again, so now we get a chance to get a second perma-fire. So now he's got 2 perma-fires going. Now I don't want to continue to shoot this guy, plus my smoke just ran out. So we've got him on a long duration perma-damage, or perma-double fire. And now we get to pull forward a little bit. We're not spotted by the repub anymore. The rest of his team's too far away, outside of our range. So now we get to shoot at the Schlieffen again, which allows us a chance to, once again, set fires on everything. Now we're up to 8 fires set, and we're over 87,000 damage. We've got 2 procs of our torpedo reload as well. And you can see with launching here that we're able to get these shells to loop up over the top of this island and land consistently. And once again, we get him on another perma-fire. After he damage cons a fire, we get a perma-fire, and we're going to try to get him on another perma-fire here if we can. But unfortunately, he goes dark, but then he gets spotted again, and then he goes dark. Now you can see how much health the repub has lost in this one. And I'm just waiting, hoping for a chance. Now, my smoke's about to run out again. You can see I'm measuring the repub, see if he's going to be dumb enough to charge forward. Doesn't appear to be. But I want to make sure I'm in a position to spot the Schlieffen here. So I'm going to turn away just in case he starts to rush me. I know he's got a long-range sonar. So we're going to drop torps just in case Schlieffen decides to come through this gap. Again, not the worst, not the biggest threat in the world because I can just run away at this point. But he's definitely something to consider. Now, he does manage to put those fires out. So, we're once again, before he gets behind the island, trying to get a fire. And wait for it. He's back on fire again. His secondary's fired for a few seconds, and that's it. And that's another fire that's going to burn. And this is why this thing is so dangerous. And there's a Witherer already. I say already. I mean, there's only 6 minutes left in this match. But notice what I'm starting to think. Okay, I know that the Repub, I know that the Schlieffen are both low health. We need to get rid of them as soon as possible so that we can free up our team. And this is why I start shooting at the Schlieffen here. I have a smoke. I'm going to go ahead and use it. I need to get this guy gone. Schlieffen is a big problem. It's such a huge threat with those secondaries, those torpedoes. We need to try to get rid of him. It's got amazing guns as well. So here you can see we get a second fire. I say a second fire. Okay, maybe I'm going to lie. Okay, there's the second fire. Okay, so we've got a second fire on him, and we're constantly pummeling him. Unfortunately, the friendly manages to yoink our kill right at the end, denying us our arsonist, unfortunately. But that's where this game changes. And this is where people have got to start to pay attention to what's going on.
I need help.
We have a huge points lead. The enemy is currently in the B cap. We're going to try to get into a position, and here I should have started firing at the Schlieffen immediately. If I had, I would have gotten the reset, but unfortunately I wait too long. I get the shots in the air, I know they're going to hit and reset, and he gets the base capped right before the shells get there. He also gets a couple of hits on me, which are inconsequential, but it's just annoying more than anything. Which is really, really unfortunate. Now he's got the cap. But as long as my team doesn't do anything stupid, we win this game. They're not going to win on points unless they kill my teammates, right? I can't rely on my teammates to play smart here. I have to try to deny them points, if at all possible. Now here you can see there are torpedoes here, and I make probably the worst dodge I probably could have made here. I could have easily shot the gap still going forward, which would have allowed me to get into the cap a little bit sooner. But I made the rush decision to turn out and guarantee that I dodge those torps, which also keeps me a little bit too far away, which means I'm out of the cap for a little bit longer. And what happens next can only be described as World of Warships Legends at its finest. Our team manages to put themselves in the one place that they have to try to win harder. Despite having a huge lead, despite the chances of the enemy winning this game being almost nothing, as long as they don't throw their ships away. And look, they all have islands. Everybody on my team has an island that they can hide behind. And everybody on my team puts themselves in a position to be countered. First goes down the Palmer. Then we have a second Palmer out on my left who is going to YOLO rush in against, again, 3 ships, single-handedly rushing in to try to put himself in a position to do what? To die. That's all he's doing. And there we get a fire on the Awami. He's going to actually damage con that, I believe. But he's going to be backing up. I can no longer shoot him. You can see Awami manages to kill our Minotaur. Of course he does, because it's a Minotaur. Why are you putting yourself in a situation to be shot at? And just like that, our lead is now way, way closer. Now, if you look at what's left, we have a German battlecruiser with all of the secondaries in the world and a long-range sonar. And we have an Alaska with a radar and a sonar. And we have an Awami with torpedoes as well. So, torpedoes, long-range sonars, and a radar, potentially against us. But our team has managed to throw this game completely away. And the Palmer that was on my left does exactly what I said he was going to do, which is just sail straight in and get himself killed. And now the game is stupidly close. So I make the hero play. I don't have a choice here. I've got to get into the cap. And I do manage to get into the cap. Now these guys are right on the edge of being able to detect me. I have one more smoke that I can use. Schlieffen is low health, so there's a chance that I could potentially kill this guy. We know that late in the game, he probably doesn't have that many damage cons left. We've got a high fire chance, so we try to get that. I've got to be aware of the fact that the Alaska over there can radar me. And you know that the Schlieffen is going to be sonar me if he gets within like 6.7 kilometers, potentially. Now, we get a second fire on him, and unfortunately, he did have a damage con ready. Look at the points, boys. 706 to 702. What do I need to do here? I need to stay in the base at all cost. I need to stop trying to shoot people and stay in the base. At this point, if they radar me or sonar me, it's a wrap. There's nothing I can do about that. However, I moved forward. I was worried about where the Awami was. I wanted to make sure I was in a position to counter the Awami. I didn't want to sit there either because we knew that the torpedoes were coming. We spot the torpedoes for the friendly. And here we have 30 seconds left. All I have to do is not get myself shot to death. So what do? I try to go for the hero play, the unnecessary play, the winning harder play, which inevitably gets me spotted despite not needing to be spotted, and then I make the boneheaded play of sailing out of the cap. Now, I thought I was still in the cap here, and then unfortunately, right at the very end, with 11 seconds left, I leave the cap, which puts me in a perfect place to lose this match. And I can't blame anybody else on my team for that stupid decision other than myself. So regardless of my team trying to throw it, at the end of the day, I had the power to win the game, and I threw. 155,000 damage, top of the leaderboard, 1,800 base XP, and a loss. The enemy played really well at the end, and my team played very poorly at the end. But at the end of the day, the reason we lost that was down to me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.